Well, here is what we're working on at the moment here. Trying to get the hoses run to the back of this truck. We're very slowly getting this hydraulic valve assembly together here, and we are taking our time with getting the hoses to the back. This isn't going all that great with the hoist mounted in the reverse position because I'm having to run all these hoses up through here, and if this hose was mounted the other way, we wouldn't have the hoist to have to work around. So I've got, what have I got? I've only got 3 valves hooked up. I'm working on the hoist valve right now, and then I've got 3 valves in front to work on, and you know, it's going kind of slow, but it's working. Jered's got the 8320 in here, and he's going to discuss and talk about this a little bit. I got this running the other night, and ended up putting it on the manure pump, and right when he got to working it a little bit, it really didn't sound right. And we had some issues with, well, what's the story with the injectors that were in this originally?
They came from D&W.
Yeah, but what were they, remans?
No, they were original out of it. I just sent them to D&W.
Okay. So the first rebuild kit you put in this, you sent the injectors out to D&W to have them just gone through, checked out.
Yeah.
CAS Equipment put an injection pump on this maybe 1,000 hours before the rebuild. So we're hoping the injection pump is okay. Sent the injectors out when he rebuilt the engine the first time around, just to have them gone through, make sure there's nothing wrong with them. They came back, they were fine. I don't know how old they were. Had the problem with the rebuild from the first time around. I had built pressure, head pressure in the cooling system. Ran it about roughly 35 hours, 35 to 40 hours. Started building excessive pressure in the cooling system. Figured we must have a bad head or a head gasket. Tore it down again. He didn't have the time to really get at it, and just got it rebuilt around the 15th of February here, the second time around. Started it up, and it had a knock to it. It more or less sounded like a fuel knock. And he's like, what the heck? Didn't want to run it more than 10 seconds at a time because we weren't sure what was going on inside the engine. Didn't want to have a connecting rod come out through the side of it. So he tore the engine back out. Actually, he tried a couple other things. He had this drive coupler to the transmission hooked up. He unhooked that to eliminate any noises from the transmission. We might as well climb up on here and we'll look at what he's doing. So, started it up the following morning. Still had a knock. You could not hear it when you were turning the engine over, but once it got running to, 700-800 RPMs, you could hear that knock. So he tore it all back down, and as the machine shop got looking into the connecting rods?
Yeah.
Or the pistons or something. Connecting rods, he had felt that the bushings were maybe not replaced or something on the pistons, and advised Jered to, let's start over new here, get a new set of pistons, and so on and so forth. And when he tore this down again, he sent the injectors out again to D&W, and They said they checked out fine. Okay, that's all right. Started up, you guys heard it run, it ran fine, but as soon as it got under load, it actually sounded like it had a bad fuel filter. Changed the fuel filters on it, let it run a little bit, still didn't like the sound of it, and talked to Jake. Jake said, boy, you know, it's probably got bad injectors in it. So that's what he's doing now, is he's putting new injectors in, and hopefully that takes care of it. These are what, John Deere remans?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got 5 of them in. He's got one more. You're on this number, this last one?
Not yet.
Not yet. So we might as well do a little work on that truck, and then we'll join back up with you here when he gets this last injector in, and we'll run it, and hopefully it runs just a little bit better. Probably could have ran a tank of fuel through it, and maybe it would have cleared itself out, but don't really want to screw around too much here. So I've got some hydraulic lines I'm going to go ahead and hook up on that truck there, and we'll join back up with you in a little while here. Well, Jered's got his last injector in. Gonna fire this up. It'll take a little bit for it to get going. We've got our hoist hoses hooked up on that. I ended up welding the bracket on there. We gotta let that cool down before I can actually clamp the hose. Let's see if this old girl'll start. It'll take a little bit. Might have to push some fuel to it with the air. Now you can smell the fuel. You can smell it. I think we're gonna lack a little battery. I don't know. Rubble. Good thing it started because we were running out of battery. Almost ran out of battery. Running better?
Yeah.
Man, we almost ran out of battery. I'm like, oh man.
I did that on purpose.
I thought we were gonna have to hook the battery charger
I know,
up.
it's great.
It almost lacked battery. Lot crisper. Lot crisper. It's a lot crisper right now. Yeah.
Good.
Well,
That's one thing about taking the muffler off after you rebuild it. You can hear them a lot better, you know? We just,
yeah.
I think if we had taken that muffler off and had it straight piped, we would have noticed it right when it was in, you know what I mean? You would have known, you would have been able to hear that
I could
muffler.
kind of hear something, but I figured it was air in the fuel system.
Well, after you
Let it work its way out, and then once it got outside, you could hear it a little more.
After you hooked the drive coupler up, it took a lot of that out of it. It sounded a little weird, but it took a lot of it out of it. And then when it went on that pump, it wasn't quite right. But if you had, you know, if you could, actually, the muffler probably covered most of it up, you know?
Yeah.
If you could hear it, you would have probably known right then and there it was an injector. But who knows which one? One of them, two of them, they said were a little off, but they thought they'd be okay.
It probably would have been, but
No, you can't mess around with a common rail. This isn't a 466.
yeah,
Common rail, you run with a bad injector for too long, and you end up putting new pistons in it. It's not.
yeah.
Common rail, you're dealing with a lot of pressure there. It's not a pencil injector like a 346B or a 466D or a 404. That thing, you run that thing all day with a bad injector, all day the next day too, and it'll be fine. But this one, you do that for an hour.
Now, this tractor over here, we had to put a new radiator in it, and it probably got overheated a couple times, and ended up having a head gasket gone too. So the radiator went in, head gasket went in it. When Jered had the head off, sent the head out to get looked at. That's the original head, right? That's not a remake.
We had to get a new one for that.
You had to get a new head for that.
That's why it's not painted or anything.
Okay. So, had the head off, sent the injectors, sent them out, same place these ones got done, correct?
D&W, yeah.
Yeah. What did they do? It just
They went all through them.
Went through them, whatever. Came back, everything was fine on it. It was running a little rough, had some hydraulic oil leaks with it. New Way said they'll have maybe them steering cylinders done Monday. The steering's been kind of goofy. This tractor come out of Oklahoma. It was tired when I bought it. I bought it cheap, thought if I painted it, I could resell it. That was 22 years ago. Where was I going with this? So anyways, it had some hydraulic oil leaks, whatever, and it wasn't quite running right. It would just kind of fall on its face every now and again. So you found a place where? Fair Valley
Diesel. They did the other 4620 when I wanted to have stuff modified. That's what they do. They modify stuff. They're kind of an aftermarket, I don't know, they're big in the Poland world, Fair Valley Diesel. So I sent injectors and pumps for the other one to them, and that one does run really well. And
that 4620 will give this 8320 a run for its money.
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that'll give it a run for its money.
Yeah.
So, we had good luck, or Jered had good luck with Fair Valley. We can't seem to have good luck right around here locally, but it is what it is. So, these injectors here, sent them out to Fair Valley.
And the pump too.
How was the pump? What did they say about the pump?
The pump was all wore out. They couldn't believe it even ran.
Yeah. Hard to believe this damn old girl wouldn't run, but these 404s, 20 series tractor, they're not really a cold, they don't like starting in the cold. When it gets down below 40 degrees, you have to plug them in. This whole girl would fire off. You'd never have to plug it in. I had a video back in January. It was 5 degrees out, and we had to work on a manure pump, and Nate went up and started this. It wasn't even plugged in. It took right off. And they said it wouldn't, this injection pump was about wore out. Yeah. They didn't know how it was even running, and they didn't even know how it could run with the injectors that were in it, correct?
Yeah, they said a couple of the nozzles were plugged on each injector. Each injector had a nozzle or two plugged in the body. The actual body of an injector, the middle part, because you can change out the nozzles. Anyone can do that, but the body was wore out too, and they had to, I don't know what they had to do, hold them out or whatever they do to injectors. I'm not an injector guy, so, but the bodies were all wore out, and they fixed those up. I don't know if you remember, we had trouble with this tractor not shutting off or not starting.
Not starting after it warmed up, and I thought it was an electrical issue.
No, it was in the pump. It had the shut-off plate was cracked, which, whatever, I don't know, but they rebuilt the injectors in the pump, and I told them this tractor is going to be on a manure pump. We didn't want anything crazy, so I said 150 max, and they set it for like 140, which is 135.
Yeah, 135 is factory, stock on them. The 4520 that was before this tractor didn't have an intercooler on it. They were 122, and then the 4630 tractor that came after it, they were 150. But these, they'll walk right along, right, not quite around that 150 horsepower mark, but the drive line, the clutch isn't all that strong in them. You don't want to pull much more than 150 horse, I don't think, out of these anyways. We never did much with them. We ran moldboard plow on the other one. Planted corn with the other one. But the other one was a better tractor all the way around. But this one, after Jered gets it up to par here, should be pretty good. We got a 158 loader that we run on it, and it has this steering valve in it. Somebody asked, where did you get this steering valve?
Oh boy.
I was hoping you'd know, because I got the paperwork. I'll have to put it in the description of this video.
It's one of them weird sites like Abilene Machine or something.
Nah, it's not Abilene. I remember seeing the paperwork for it, and Stanley? Wasn't Stanley. Farm and Home or something?
Yeah, it's like a weird, I don't know, they're out of Oregon. They make those in Oregon. Those steering valves are made in Oregon.
Yeah. I'll have to find the place where he got that from and put a link in the description here. But yeah. So I guess we are gonna call it a night here. Why don't you start that up one more time? Sounds a lot better. Sounded good before, but sounds even better now, so. Yeah, well, we are going to call it a night. We'll join back up with you tomorrow. Hopefully I can get I will get the rest of the hoses on this. And then we can build the rail system here.